I need you to stop for a second. Just stop. Because what came through in this reading is unlike anything I've pulled for Virgo in a very long time. And I say that as someone who has sat with this energy across hundreds of readings. What is moving around you right now is not ordinary. It does not belong in the category of maybe or possibly or we'll see how things unfold. What I am feeling in your energy today has a different quality to it entirely. It has the quality of something that was written before you arrived here, something that was decided in a space far beyond the one you can see with your eyes. And I know that might sound like something people say, but I need you to feel the difference between words and what I'm actually sensing right now as I sit with your cards. Because this is real, this is specific, and this is for you. Virgo, you are about to encounter, or you have already encountered, without fully realizing it yet, a love that is going to change the entire architecture of how you understand connection. Let me say that again because I don't want it to pass by you too quickly. A love that is going to change the entire architecture of how you understand connection. Not a love that feels nice, not a love that is comfortable or convenient or logical, a love that reaches into the deepest parts of who you are and recognizes them, a love that does not ask you to translate yourself, a love that arrives already fluent in you. And the moment it fully lands, the moment you feel it completely, nothing that exists in this world will have the power to pull it apart. I want to start by acknowledging something because I feel it so clearly in your energy, and I think it needs to be spoken before anything else. You have been through a kind of loneliness that is very specific to people who love deeply. It is not the loneliness of someone who has never been loved. It is the loneliness of someone who has been loved but never quite completely, never quite fully. There has always been something slightly out of reach, some depth in you that the people who came before simply did not have the capacity to meet. And you felt that gap. You felt it even in moments that looked fine from the outside, even in relationships that other people thought were good for you. You felt the distance between what you were giving and what was actually being received, between who you were showing up as and who was actually being seen. That gap, that specific, particular ache is about to close. I want to stay with that for a moment because I think some of you just felt something move in your chest. That warmth that spreads quietly, almost cautiously, like your heart is not quite sure yet if it's safe to hope. I see that, I feel that. And I want to tell you something important. That warmth is not wishful thinking, that warmth is recognition. That is your deeper self responding to a truth it has always known was coming, even during the periods when your mind was convinced it never would. You have not been wrong to believe in something extraordinary. You have simply been early. Let me tell you what the energy is showing me, because it is detailed in a way that I find remarkable. What keeps coming through, and it has been consistent from the moment I began this reading, is the image of a meeting point, a convergence, two paths that have been moving separately through entirely different landscapes, drawing closer and closer to an intersection that neither person has been able to see clearly yet, but both have been able to feel. Have you had that experience, Virgo? That sense of moving towards something without being able to name it? That feeling of anticipation that doesn't attach itself to any specific person or event, but simply lives in you as a quiet certainty that something significant is on its way? If you have felt that, and I believe many of you watching this have felt exactly that, I need you to understand that feeling is not random. That feeling is navigation. That feeling is your soul tracking something that is already in motion. The person I'm feeling in this energy is not someone who is going to arrive in your life and require you to convince yourself you could love them. This is not going to be a slow build where you talk yourself into something over time. What I keep sensing is an immediate quality of recognition, the kind where you meet someone and something inside you goes very quiet, not in a confused way, not in an overwhelmed way, but in the way that things go quiet when something true arrives. When the noise of wondering and waiting and searching simply stops because the answer is standing right in front of you. Some of you already know exactly what I'm describing because you have felt it before with someone, and some of you are about to feel it for the very first time. Either way, either as a reunion or as an arrival, what is coming carries that quality, that unmistakable stillness at the center of something enormous. I want to speak about who this person is energetically because what continues to come through is quite specific. This is not someone who is going to love you loudly at first. This is not someone who overwhelms you with grand gestures from the beginning or who tries to impress you with a performance of what love is supposed to look like. What I keep sensing is a quietness to how this begins, a steadiness, the kind of person who notices things about you that you haven't pointed out, who remembers the small things, who is present in a way that feels almost startling because you are not used to being seen that clearly without having to ask for it. There is a depth to this person that matches yours. And Virgo, you know how rare that is. You know how many times you have been in spaces where your depth was either intimidating or simply unrecognized. This person does not find your depth intimidating. They find it exactly what they've been looking for. Let me stay here for a moment because I think this part of the reading deserves real space. You are a Virgo. And whether you fully own this or not, you carry an intellectual and emotional complexity that not everyone can keep up with. You feel things precisely. You think things through in layers. You notice nuance in situations that other people miss entirely. You have a standard, not an unreasonable one, not a perfectionist demand for something impossible, but a genuine, deeply held standard for what real connection looks like, and you have spent significant time in situations that fell short of it without being able to fully articulate why. You have sat across from people who were perfectly decent, perfectly good, and felt that thing inside you that was not quite right, and you have probably questioned yourself for feeling it. Probably wondered if you were being too selective, too idealistic, too unwilling to simply accept what was in front of you. I need you to hear this clearly. You were not being too selective, you were being accurate. Your intuition about what you need, about the specific quality of connection that will actually fulfill you, has been correct this entire time. And the fact that you have not compromised that, even when it would have been easier, even when the loneliness was heavy, that integrity is part of what has been preparing you for what is coming. Because what is coming requires a version of you that knows its own worth, that has sat with itself long enough to understand what it actually needs versus what it has been conditioned to accept, that has loved itself consistently enough through the waiting to arrive at this moment intact. You are arriving at this moment intact, Virgo. I feel that so clearly. Does something in this reading feel personal to you right now? Does it feel like it's reaching something you haven't said out loud? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and I genuinely want to know where you are as you listen to this. Now I want to talk about what happens when this connection fully arrives. Because the energy around the nature of this bond is something I want to describe carefully, because it is genuinely unlike what most people experience in conventional relationships. What I keep sensing is a quality of ease underneath the intensity. Usually, those two things don't coexist. Usually, intensity comes with turbulence, with uncertainty, with the constant low grade anxiety of wondering where you stand, with the emotional roller coaster of someone who keeps you guessing because they're not sure themselves. What I am feeling in this energy does not have that quality. The intensity here is the intensity of depth, not the intensity of chaos. The intensity of two people who finally feel matched, not the intensity of two people who keep each other destabilized because the uncertainty reads as passion. This is going to feel different from anything you've known before, and the difference is going to be disorienting at first in the most beautiful way. You are going to find yourself waiting for something to go wrong because that has been the pattern. Things that feel this good have always had a catch, always had an expiration date, always had a moment where the other shoe dropped. And it is not going to drop. And you are going to have to learn how to receive that. How to allow something good to simply continue being good without bracing for its ending. That is one of the most profound things this connection is going to teach you. That stability does not mean boredom, that peace does not mean absence of feeling, that love does not require suffering to be real. Your nervous system is going to have to learn that safety is something you're allowed to settle into. And it will, slowly, and then all at once, it will. I want to address something that I feel present in the energy of some of you watching this, a specific kind of fear that lives beneath the hope, the fear that says, what if I've been through too much? What if I've accumulated too much history, too much hurt, too many layers of self protection for something this pure to actually reach me? I feel that fear. I understand it completely. And I want to speak to it directly. The things you have been through have not made you less lovable. They have made you more honest, more specific, more clear about what you will and will not tolerate. More capable of recognizing the real thing when it arrives because you have had so much practice distinguishing it from everything that was not quite right. Your history is not a liability in this connection, it is the very thing that has prepared you to receive it fully. Because the person who is coming does not want someone who has never been hurt. They want someone who has been through things and come out of the other side of them as someone real, someone genuine, someone whose tenderness comes from having earned it rather than having never needed it. They are going to meet every part of your story and stay not in spite of it, because of it. I want to take a breath here because what I'm about to say is the part of this reading I feel most strongly about, and I want to make sure it lands properly. There is a spiritual dimension to this connection that I cannot ignore and would not want to. What keeps coming through consistently, insistently, in a way that I cannot attribute to coincidence, is the sense that this bond was not assembled randomly, that these two souls have a history that predates this lifetime, that what will feel like meeting is actually on some level returning, that the recognition you feel in the first real conversation, in the first moment of genuine eye contact, in the first time this person says something that reaches the part of you nobody ever quite reached before, that recognition is not chemistry, it is memory. It is your soul acknowledging someone it has known before in a form that no longer exists but left an impression that time did not erase. I want to be careful here because I never want to overstate what I'm sensing. But the energy is so clear on this point that I feel I would be doing you a disservice if I softened it. What is coming for you, Virgo, has a sacred quality to it, a quality that will make certain moments feel like they're happening in slow motion, a quality that will make you look back at certain points in your life, at the decisions that seemed wrong, at the detours that seemed pointless, at the losses that seemed devastating, and understand them differently. Understand them as the things that needed to happen to bring you to exactly this place, exactly this readiness, exactly this version of yourself that is capable of receiving something this whole. Nothing that has happened to you was wasted. Every single piece of it was navigation. Let me speak now to what this connection is going to bring into your daily life, because I don't want this reading to exist only in the abstract. I want to bring it into the texture of your actual experience. What I keep sensing is an expansion, a sense that your world gets larger when this person enters it rather than smaller. Some relationships contract us. They ask us to fit into a specific shape, to be less of ourselves in certain areas, to make ourselves more manageable or more palatable. What is coming does the opposite. It opens something in you. It makes you more curious about life, more willing to try things, more comfortable in your own presence because you are finally in the presence of someone who makes being yourself feel entirely safe. You are going to laugh differently with this person. I mean that specifically. There is something about the ease between you that creates a lightness, a genuine playfulness that comes from feeling completely unthreatened. You are going to say the things you usually edit before speaking and discover that those are precisely the things that make this person look at you with even more warmth. You are going to be strange and specific and entirely yourself, and find that every layer you reveal is met, not with judgment, but with delight. And Virgo, you deserve to be delighted in. You deserve someone who finds the particular way your mind works to be one of the most fascinating things they've ever encountered. You deserve someone who listens to you, really listens, not waiting for their turn to speak, not half present, but genuinely, attentively, hungrily listening. Because what you say is worth listening to. Because the way you see things is extraordinary. And the person coming towards you knows how to recognize that. I want to close this reading by speaking to your heart directly, because everything I've described today, the recognition, the depth, the sacred quality of this bond, the expansion, the safety, all of it is real. All of it is available to you. But there is one thing I need to ask of you as you walk toward it, and that is this: let yourself want it fully, without apology. without the protective layer of "I'll believe it when I see it" that has been necessary in the past but is no longer serving you now. Not naive wanting, not the kind that abandons discernment, but the full, open, unguarded wanting of someone who finally believes they deserve what they desire. Because you do deserve it, completely, without conditions, without having to earn it through more suffering or more waiting or more proving. You deserve extraordinary love simply because you exist. Simply because your heart, with all its depth and all its tenderness and all the extraordinary care it extends to the people lucky enough to be in your life, that heart deserves to be home somewhere. It is finding its way home right now. I feel that so clearly, it almost takes my breath away. The moment of recognition is close, Virgo. And when it comes, when you feel that specific stillness, that quiet that falls over everything, when something true arrives, I want you to let it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't minimize it. Don't wait for it to disappoint you before it has had the chance to prove itself. Just let it be what it is. Let yourself be met. Let yourself be seen. Let yourself be loved in the way you have always, quietly, in the softest part of yourself, known was possible. Nothing that is truly meant for you can be kept from you, and this is meant for you. If this reading reached something in you today, please leave a comment below. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what landed. Tell me what you're hoping for. I read every single word you leave, and this community means more to me than I can properly express. If you know someone who needs to hear this message today, please share this video with them. A like helps this reading find the people who are meant to receive it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love to have you here for every reading to come. Virgo, you are so deeply loved by this universe, even in the moments it has not felt that way, especially in those moments. Go forward with that knowing in your chest. I'll see you in the next one.